Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. I've got a really good tip for you today, and it's one that the pros are really starting to implement around this time of year, but the average angler does not seem to be catching on to yet. It's a specific color choice that matches one of the primary forages. No matter if you're down south or up north, this bait will match the hatch, or this color matches the hatch, and will get you a few extra bites during this time of year. Unfortunately, it's a color that is oftentimes pretty difficult to locate, and it's a color that a lot of times doesn't come in your favorite bait. So you gotta find the baits that come in that color. And that's what I want to do today. I want to show you some of my favorite baits, show you the color that I'm specifically talking about, and why it's such a good color to use at this time of year. Before I do get into that, I do want to remind you, if you're looking to support the channel, please use the Tackle Warehouse affiliate link that I provide in the description of the video to make your tackle purchases. Also, at the same time, guys, if you're looking for a little bit of Matt Steffen fishing merchandise, check out the store. We've got some cool artwork by Matt Stockton. He's done my Smallmouth Braveheart shirt, which I absolutely love. It's the logo for the channel, so check that out too. All right, guys, so, talking about smallmouth, Matt Stockton is one of the guys that fishes on Lake St. Clair. He's from the Detroit area. Check out his artwork, by the way. But Lake St. Clair is one of the top lakes for using this color. And specifically, the color itself is your perch color. The perch, or technically bluegill color as well. But what a lot of times we don't realize is how important perch and bluegill can be as a primary forage species for all forms of bass. Largemouth, smallmouth, spotted bass. Specifically during the summer months, they really start keying in on the panfish species. The shad species a lot of times will go offshore and start roaming during this time, which doesn't mean you don't have a population of bass that don't follow them, but you have a large percentage of the population of bass that are going to stay a little bit shallower, stay a little bit more weed orientated, and roam some of those big flats where you have big perch schools and where you have big schools of bluegill. We all know about the bluegill bed bite that can be an absolute fire bite to get on during the summer months, but a lot of those bluegill are offshore and the bass are following them as well. When you talk about somebody who's throwing, say, a vibrating jig or a swim jig, all the time you hear people trying to match bluegill. You're talking your green pumpkins, a little bit of orange, a little bit of chartreuse. You hear people always trying to throw that color because it's matching that forage space. But we don't frequently hear about people fishing a little bit deeper, a little bit more offshore, throwing the same color choices. So specifically, if you're talking about some big open areas, your Lake St. Clair, any sort of lakes that have some deep weed flats. If you go to like a Lake Wachita down in Arkansas, that's just a big weeded lake, you can really excel by throwing some perch and bluegill colored crankbaits. It frequently is a very difficult color to find. This is actually a craw. This is called moss craw. This is a Berkeley color that is a craw imitating bait, but this is one of my go-to colors for perch. It's got the orange bottom and the nice green sides. It really looks like a perch to me in the water, and I've done phenomenally well throwing this color specifically, not just necessarily on this digger, but as well on the dredger crankbaits too. It's a color that just mimics the perch really well. And again, this is what I'm talking about. It doesn't have to be shoreline related to mimic a bluegill or a perch. You start picking up your swim baits. This is the bluegill color of the Berkeley hollow belly swim bait, but they also make some new. They've got this HD series out where they've got an HD perch. I think they've got an HD bluegill, and they're even more lifelike than that. But again, this bait excels offshore. So if you're fishing a deep weed flat outside weed lines, or if you're fishing someplace that has big schools of perch that are roaming sand or mud flats, it's hard to beat a hollow belly. And again, it's a tough color to find. A lot of companies do not make swim baits in the panfish colors. Another one of my favorites is this perch color. This is a Megabass color on a Vision 110 Plus one. This perch color is one of the most realistic perch colors that you can find on any bait. And I can assure you that I have this jerkbait tied on almost year round, or not year round, but in the summer months up here in the North Country, because it does such a good job at mimicking a perch. And then at the same time, guys, you've also got topwaters. You don't find that many good bluegill or perch colored topwaters, but the truth of the matter is you can still do it if you're looking for it. This is a Chapo in their MF bluegill color, which is one of the best bluegill imitating colors out there. You know, if you one of the baits that you can find frequently in bluegill colors are your prop baits, because this is out here to mimic a bluegill and to be used around bluegill beds. But the reality is you can throw them offshore as well. If you get on a big flat that's got a bunch of panfish on it, don't be afraid to throw a topwater around that's in a bluegill color. This is the time of year when you want to expand away from your shad colors a little bit more into some of the more natural forage-based colors. They just seem to really do well in the summer. In the spring and the fall, that's when your shad colored baits are going to thrive, because the fish will start, no matter where you're at in the country, the fish are going to start keying in on more of those oily based forage species. You know, if you're up here in the North Country, you say there's no shad. That's true, but there's Cisco, there's alewife, and that's what the fish start turning towards. So, those are your silver type baits, your very straight shad imitating baits. But during the summer months, guys, in my opinion, you will outfish the shad colored baits by throwing something that is more of your perch or bluegill color. So hopefully you found this tip helpful. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned. We'll have another tip for you tomorrow.